Hello and welcome to my channel, The Effortless English Elucidation. In this video, I'll discuss with you chapter number 3, The Green Morning of Gulmohar, Class 7 Gulmohar English Reader Book. The Green Morning is a story written by Ray Douglas Bradbury, who was an American author and screenwriter. And this story is an extract from the novel The Martian Chronicles, which is a collection of short stories about life on Mars. This was a novel written in the year 1950, but many of the issues mentioned there are still relevant in our today's life. The most important issue mentioned in it is about lack of greenery, how life will be without trees. Everything will become so difficult without trees. This is very well explained by explaining the life on Mars, where air is very thin. People get suffocated due to lack of oxygen, due to lack of trees. Clear? Now here we'll discuss the story or the chapter line by line. So here we go. The extract you're about to read is from the book The Martian Chronicles. As I already said, this is an extract from the book The Martian Chronicles. Now, The Martian Chronicles is a collection of short stories that tells us about people leaving a troubled earth that is eventually devastated by a nuclear war. Now, what is the meaning of devastated? Completely destroyed. So this book is a collection of short stories that tells us about people जो लोग एक troubled earth को छोड़ के eventually means with time या धीरे धीरे जाके मार्स में रह रहे हैं, उनकी स्टोरी बताई गई है इसमें. These people then arrive on Mars where they explore and form settlements. The stories chronicle the lives and experiences of the humans now living on Mars, as well as their interactions with the Martians who already live on Mars. This novel was written in 1950, but many of the issues explored in it are still very relevant to our lives today. Just as I had said that this is a story about how difficult life is on Mars and a story about people who are eventually leaving the earth, the troubled earth, which is devastated or completely destroyed by a nuclear war. Now, as given in this line, the stories in this line, the stories chronicle. What is the meaning of chronicle? To make record or give details of something. Now we'll move to the story. When the sun set, he crouched by the path and cooked a small supper. What is the meaning of crouched? To bend. So when the sun set, he bent by the path and cooked a small supper. What is supper? It's, and you can say, an old-fashioned word for dinner. Nowadays we use dinner. Earlier we used supper for dinner, for the word dinner. He listened to the fire crackle while he put the food in his mouth and chewed thoughtfully. It had been a day not unlike 30 others before it, with many neat holes dug in the soil, seeds dropped in, and water brought from the bright canals. Now, with a great weariness in his slight body, he lay and watched the sky. So, जैसे सूरज ढल गया, he crouched by the path, bent by the path, and cooked a small supper. अब उसने खाना खाया. It's very well explained that he listened to the fire crackle while he put the food in his mouth and chewed thoughtfully. सोचते हुए वो खाने को खा रहा था. Now क्या सोचता है ये बात हम आगे समझेंगे. It had been a day not unlike 30 others before it. It means that he was here on Mars since last 30 days. And the day about which we are talking here was also similar to the rest of the days. What had he done in these 30 days? He had dropped seeds for what? For planting trees. Now, with a great weariness in his slight body, weariness means tiredness. Now, with a great tiredness in his slight body, he lay and watched the sky. Now, he was very much tired doing the same thing right from the last 30 days. What was he doing? Trying to plant trees. But he was not getting his reward. So, he was tired finally and he lay with a very tired body and watched the sky. Now comes his name, about his name. His name was Benjamin Driscoll and he was 31 years old. So the person we are talking about is a 31 years old man. And what was his name? Benjamin Driscoll. And the thing that he wanted was for Mars to grow green and tall with trees and foliage. Foliage means the leaves of a plant or tree. So he was Benjamin Driscoll, who was 31 years old. He was there on Mars since the last 30 days. And what was he trying to do on Mars? He was trying to make the Mars grow green. How? By planting lots and lots of trees. वो 30 दिनों से मेहनत कर रहे थे, किस लिए? ताकि वो मार्स पे पेड़ उगा पाए. But it's not that easy. So he faced many difficulties and finally he was feeling tired. He was tired not out of his work. He was tired because he was not getting any result. He had not got any result in the last 30 days. Trees to produce air. Now come to the point what trees do for us, which we generally overlook. Trees to produce air and more air. The most important thing for us to live, air, is produced by trees. You must have surely studied in your science or biology chapters that trees produce air for us, oxygen, which is very much important for us. Trees to cool the towns. Now, what is the other importance of trees? To cool the towns, to what? To maintain the temperature, not to make very hot, which we are facing nowadays due to lack of trees. The summer is becoming terribly hot. So, this is the very important role played by trees to cool the towns. In the boiling summer, and trees to hold back the winter winds, not only in summer, but trees play very important role in winter also by maintaining the temperature. There are so many things a tree could do. What are they? Add color, provide shade, drop fruit, or become a children's playground. But most of all, the trees would distill icy air for the lungs and provide a gentle rustling for the ear when you lay at night in your bed and were soothed to sleep by the sound. So the most important thing trees do for us to provide purified air for the lungs. And what? Provide a gentle rustling means, rustling for the ear means, rustling means what? The sound produced by the leaves or the branches of the trees. That sound is so soothing to our ears. When you are tired throughout the day and you just lay at night, and if you listen to that rustling sound, you feel very soothing. This is generally experienced by the villagers. In fact, now the villagers are also missing those experiences because even the villages are getting developed. So nowadays it is becoming very difficult to feel or to experience the soothing part produced by the trees to have a sound sleep. Now we'll move on to the next page. Okay, so as explained by the previous page, it is very clear from the picture given here. He is laying down with a hope of what? Looking at the sky with a hope of rain, which is very important for trees or the seeds to grow into plants and trees. So he lay listening to the dark earth gather itself, waiting for the sun for the rains that hadn't come yet. So as you can see in the picture, he was looking or continuously gazing at the sky and hoping for clouds to appear and rains to come. His ear to the ground, he imagined the seeds he had placed today sprouting up with green and pushing out branch and after branch until Mars was a shining orchard. What is the meaning of orchard? An area of land where fruit trees are grown, which in Hindi we call bagicha, that is orchard. So he had planted so many trees, he had dropped so many trees and hoping now for the rain to come and help these trees to turn into what? Branches, and branches means turn into plants and trees and large number of trees until Mars was a shining orchard full of greenery, making life easy for people residing there. You need the air, he told the night fire. Now he was talking to the night fire. You need the air. Even the fire needs air for combustion. Even fire needs air. We all need the air. It's thin air here on Mars. How is the air on Mars? Very thin due to lack of trees. You get tired so soon. It's like living in the ants. Ants is what? Ants is in South America, where due to lack of trees, people find life very difficult there. And it is one of the great natural features found on Earth. Okay, so it's like living in the ants in South America. You inhale and don't get anything. You inhale means what? Take air in and you don't get anything. It doesn't satisfy. He felt his rib cage. Rib cage is what? Where your rib bone is. Where you feel your rib bone. That is called the rib cage. So he felt his rib cage. In 30 days, how it had grown. They would all have to build their lungs to take in more air or plant more trees. Now, what do these lines mean? These lines mean that since the last 30 days, his rib bones were exercising so much to inhale the air that now he was feeling the pain in the role played by the lungs to inhale the air was played by rib cage here because it was very difficult to inhale the air. So he was feeling it. That's what I am here for, he said. The fire popped. In school, they told a story about Johnny Appleseed walking across America planting apple trees. So now he's talking to the fire here that I am here. Who is here? Driscoll is here to plant trees and make Mars more livable for people. So that's what I'm here for, he said. The fire popped. In school, they told us, so now he's continuously talking to this fire. And now what he says, that in school he had heard a story about John Appleseed, who walked across America planting apple trees. So his name was Johnny Appleseed. Well, I'm doing more. This is even more difficult than planting the apple seeds there. It is more difficult to plant trees here. And I'm not only just planting apple seed, not only just looking for apple trees. I'm planting oaks, elms, maples, aspens, deodars and chestnuts, every kind of tree. Instead of making just fruit for the stomach, I am making air for the lungs. When those trees grow, think of the oxygen they will make. So, Driscoll is not just planting trees which will give fruits for the stomach, but also trees which will give air for the lungs. And when those trees grow, think of the oxygen they'll make. He remembered his arrival on Mars. Now here comes the point. How had he arrived on Mars? Like 1,000 others, so 1,000 other people were there on the Mars who had come from where? From the troubled earth. Like 1,000 others, he had gazed upon an alien landscape, and thought, how do I fit here? What will I do? Is there a job for me? So he had reached Mars, and what was he thinking there? In this alien landscape, alien place, very unknown place, Ajuba. What do you call in Hindi? That alien? Ajuba. बहुत ही अजूबे से जगह पे आ गया था. And what was he thinking there? How do I fit here? कैसे रहूँगा मैं यहाँ? And what will I do? Is there a job for me? कोई job भी है मेरे लिए यहाँ to survive? And then finally what happened after that? He fainted. Then he fainted. Someone pushed a vial of ammonia. Vial is a small bottle in which we store, generally we store medicines. So someone pushed a vial of ammonia to his nose, and coughing, he came round. Came round means to become conscious again. After you become unconscious, when you come back to your consciousness, that is called came round or coming round. So you will be all right, said the doctor. So the doctor said, the doctor was also there, available on Mars, and what did he say? You'll be all right. What happened? The air is pretty thin. Some can't take it. I think you'll have to go back to the earth. So the doctor said, the air here on Mars is very thin and everybody cannot survive here. So I think you'll have to go back to the earth. So the doctor said, you'll have to go back to the earth, to your own planet. We'll move on to the next page, that is page number 3. No, he sat up and almost immediately felt his eyes darken. So he said, no, I cannot go back to the earth because I'm here with a very important job. And his eyes got darkened. His nostrils dilated and he forced his lungs to drink in the air. Why did he force his lungs to drink in the air? Because it was very difficult to breathe in there. So he forcefully helped his lungs to take in the air. I'll be all right. I have got to stay here. I have got some important job, so I'll have to stay here. They let him lie gasping in horrid fish-like motion. So everybody left him and he lied. Gasping means to breathe loudly and with difficulty. To breathe loudly. So they left him to breathe loudly and with difficulty due to the thin air there. He left him there gasping in horrid. Horrid means very unpleasant fish-like motions. And he thought, air, air, air. All he wanted at that time was air. He was suffocating. They are sending me back because of air. Now he thought to himself that they are sending him back because of the air, and he turned his head to look across the Martian fields and hills. So he looked across to find the Martian hills and fields, but what he noticed, there was no field, no greenery, no hills, nothing. The first thing he noticed was that there were no trees at all, as far as you could see in any direction. Air, he thought, the thin stuff whistling in his nostrils. Air, air. The only thing he wanted at that time was air because he was feeling suffocated. He was not able to breathe. That is why the only thing he wanted was, like when you are thirsty, the only thing you need at that time is water. Nothing other than that. Even if someone says that I'll take you to your favorite movie, or if you are offered to meet your favorite celebrity, nothing works there. The only thing you need is water when you're thirsty. Similarly, he was feeling very uneasy, and the only thing he wanted at that moment was air, which he was not able to get there. Of course, he felt the answer came not from his mind, but his lungs and his throat. Answer to what? To the question, is there any job for him? Trees and grass. He would plant trees and grass. So this was his job. Why had he reached to Mars? To plant trees and grass. That would be his job. To fight against the very thing that might prevent his staying here. What was that thing which was preventing his staying there? Lack of air, lack of proper air to breathe in, oxygen. That is why he was there, to plant trees. So he got his answer to the question, what was his job there? Let me up, he shouted. Means, now let me get up and start doing my job. Let me up, he shouted. I have got to see the coordinator. Now he has got to see the coordinator. Who was the coordinator? The one who was going to help him how to plant trees and arrange things for him to plant those trees. He and the coordinator had talked an entire morning about things that grew and were green. So they had set their plans. In short, you can understand they had set their plans. It would be months, if not years, before organized planting began. Organized planting means what? The process of transplanting trees, seedlings for reforestation and landscaping, which has been planned and approved by those in charge. So, organized planting is a type of planting in which everything is first pre planned, then the things are organized or brought together, then the planning is what? Planning is executed, and then finally we see gardens or greenery everywhere. So this is a kind of organized planting. In short, you can understand it's kind of planned planting in which everything is very well planned. So far, frosted food was brought from Earth in flying icicles. Even not only from Earth to Mars, even now we use processed or half prepared food, semi cooked food. We use that on Earth also, not only on Mars. So, frosted food was brought from Earth in flying icicles. A few community gardens were greening up with hydroponic plants. Meanwhile, said the coordinator, it's your job. We'll get what seed we can for you and a little equipment. So the coordinator said that it's your job to do the rest, and I'll get or we'll get the seed you need, the seed we can for you, and a little equipment. Space on the rockets is mighty precious now. So, space on the rockets is mighty precious now means we'll be able to help you with only the equipments and the type of seeds present here. Will not be able to bring it from any other planet because it's very precious. Now we'll move on to the next page. But you'll let me do it. So he asked to the coordinator, okay, do whatever help you can do for me, but you'll let me do it now. They let him do it, provided with a single motorcycle, its bin full of rich seeds and sprouts. He had parked his vehicle in the valley wilderness and set out on foot over the land. So they helped him as much as they could. They provided him a bicycle or a motorcycle. Sorry, they provided him with a motorcycle, the bin of which was full of reed seeds and sprouts, and he had parked his vehicle in the valley wilderness. Wilderness means what? A region or tract uncultivated and uninhabited by human beings, barren. So, and he set out on foot over the land. That had been 30 days ago. Now, this is a story about 30 days back when he had arrived on Mars. That had been 30 days ago and he had never glanced back. For looking back would have been sickening to the heart. Means he had not thought about how much hard work he has done, because if he would be looking back, it would be like sickening to the heart. The weather was excessively dry. It was doubtful if any seeds had sprouted yet. It was so dry weather on Mars that it was totally difficult for any seed to sprout out. Perhaps his entire campaign, his 4 weeks of bending and scooping were lost. Now, what he was thinking, that perhaps all the things I have done in the last 30 days will go in vain now. I'm not going to get any result of my hard work. But now, there was a change about to take place. But now, clouds were gathering over the dry mountains, and he drew his blanket over his shoulders. Mars was an unpredictable place. The fire fluttered into sleepy ash. The fire was off and turned into ash. The air trembled to the distant roll of thunder. बहुत दूर से, distant means बहुत दूर से roll of thunder की आवाज़ आ रही थी, जिसकी वजह से the air trembled means shook, went left and right due to the distant roll of thunder. Movement of thunder दूर से जो आ रही थी, उसकी वजह से The air was shaking. Tonight, he thought, and put his hand out to feel the rain tonight. So he was expecting that tonight there will be rain, and he put out his hand to feel the rain. He awoke, tap on his brow. Here comes the payment of or the repayment of his hard work. When he got a tap on his brow, बारिश की एक बूंद. Water ran down his nose into his lips. So soothing it must be that moment. Another drop hit his eye, blurring it. दूसरी बूंद कहाँ गिरी? एक आँख पे. Blurring means धुंधला दिखना. उसको blur करते हुए. Another splashed his chin like a kiss on his chin. The rain. It rushed. Just a minute. It rushed out of the air, tasting of spells and stars and air and carrying a peppery dust in it. So finally came the rain. He sat up out of happiness. He sat up. He was now drenched to the skin, means totally wet. Drenched means to make somebody or something completely wet. So he was drenched to the skin, but he held his face up and let the water hit his eyelids, laughing out of happiness. You can imagine the moment. He had waited for the last 30 days for rain to come, and finally it came, and he clapped his hands together out of happiness. It rained steadily for 2 hours and then stopped. The stars came out freshly washed and clearer than ever. So, what happened? Finally, the rain came and it rained steadily for continuous 2 hours and then stopped. Stars also came out as if they had taken a bath of the rain, and they looked very fresh. Changing into dry clothes, Mr. Benjamin Driscoll lay down and went happily to sleep. Finally, he got his reward, so he was very happy. The sun rose slowly among the hills. It broke out upon the land quietly and wakened Mr. Driscoll where he lay. He waited a moment before arising. Next morning, the sun was there, but he did not want to wake up so soon. He waited a moment before arising. He had worked and waited a long, hot month, 30 days, and now standing up, he turned at last and faced the direction from which he had come. It was a green morning. So here comes the title of the story and the meaning, which is very clear by this time, that this was finally a green morning. As far as he could see, the trees were standing up against the sky. Not one tree, not two, not a dozen, but the thousands he had planted in seed and sprout, and not little trees, not little tender shoots, but great trees, green and huge and round and full. Finally, there was a green morning when he could see trees and trees in the morning, trees and trees standing up against the sky. Not one tree, but dozens and dozens, thousands and thousands of trees. So here comes the end of the story. Thank you so much.